Hello everyone out there, it's HK Fanatic. Wanted to film a little clip on my one of my favorite rifles, my Cetme, and another one of its incarnations here. As you can see, I've replaced the tactical mill dot scope with a shorter range red dot reticle scope. I just went and shot this thing again a couple of days ago. I forgot to take my camera with me. I should have taken it and shot some more footage. And again, I was very impressed with it. These magazines, surplus magazines, have performed pretty flawlessly, considering well, they're aluminum. And I also tried out the German steel, which you can still get these for about $250 on cheaper than dirt. I recommend stocking up on some of them. They do get a little scratched up from cycling the action in and out, even though technically the Century Arms receiver, at least in the one I have, because I purchased this while the assault ban was still in effect, and this is the first generation run of these that Century made, and they were still putting some quality into them back then. Whereas I really don't know about the ones they're selling now. I've heard nothing but horror stories and people that have had nothing but problems with them. But all I did was took mine apart, cleaned out all the cosmoline, and there was a lot of it in there. I think a lot of people don't really take the time to go in there and really clean out all the cosmoline, because it also gets into the areas around the rollers, and that is critical that you go in there and clean out those rollers, because sorry, my TV's a little loud over there. The performance of the weapon is it really makes a difference. I cleaned this thing, I soaked the bolt and all the parts that I could in a mild diesel solution to clean off all the cosmoline, and I also used a brush to get into cracks and crevices every place that I could, and I cleaned every time. I still got cosmoline out of it, so I continued cleaning until I didn't get a bit of cosmoline out of any of the parts. Some of it had also creeped into the trigger pack, so I soaked that, and that also helped clean that up. So some of you that are having some of the problems, that might be a small part of the problem. The other thing you're going to want to do is, like I said, go in and check your bolt gap, because if after you clean everything and reassemble your weapon, and you check it and you don't have any gap, then you have issues. You either need to replace your rollers with oversized rollers, which very likely is a problem. And if that doesn't fix it, then I would send the rifle back and tell them what you've done. You know, just simply give them a narration, let them know what you've done to try to fix the problem, and that it didn't correct the problem. So this way you can they'll send you another one, and hopefully you'll be in better shape. I am thinking of getting the C33, the Century Arms version of the HK33, which was basically the same weapon, except it shoots 5.56 by 4.5 millimeter. Again, this one, mine, of course, shoots a good old 308 round, and I can't stress how important it is that you only shoot either match grade 308, preferably the Federal Gold, or Winchester white box that says 7.62 by 5.1 on it, because that is NATO spec brass, and that's what you need. You need the thicker casings with these, because the ejection system on this weapon is just very violent. Now, I haven't had any of my brass cases get sheared or any problems like that, but I've heard of people that have had them snap off in the chamber, and then they have to get an extractor tool to actually remove it, which it's not as difficult to get them out as people say, but it's still a pain in the ass, and you shouldn't have to go through that. So remember, just get yourself some of the surplus mags. Now these are 20 rounders. I wouldn't shoot over 15 rounds in them. Always give yourself a little leeway to leave some slack in the spring, and that'll give you a lot more life out of these magazines. Now, I noticed there's several varieties on these surplus mags. One of them you know, for example, this one says, and you can't really see it here as well because my macro doesn't work on this, but it says G3 10 of 65. That's when it was manufactured. Pretty close to my birthday. Now some actually say HK on them. 10 of 66. This is actually made in the HK plant. Some of these other ones were made in other locations. I usually find that, and this is another variant. It says G3/HK 8 of 78. So this one was made in the late 70s. Again, this one says G3HK, and it was made in December of 1970. So you're going to get quite a variety of years and groups in these. But I haven't had a problem with any of these cycling the ammunition. I think I had one misfeed, and that's about it. But still, considering all the rounds I've put through this thing, I'm quite impressed with it. I really am satisfied. Like I said, when I bought it, I got it for just right at around $300. So again, now the prices really skyrocketed. You probably won't get one of these for less than $5, between $450 and $500. So again, the only changes I really made, again, I changed the hand guard to an actual HK. The model that was on the actual G3, the later models anyway, which allows you to fit the bipod in here. And of course, I replaced the rear stock with an actual HK G3 rear stock, so I could have the advantage of the easy to remove pins, which is a necessity if you really want to fuel strip your gun. And of course, I added the cheek rest, which was actually a Tokyo Marui replacement that's meant to go on their airsoft gun, but the kit was pretty good, and I haven't had any problems with it. It's stayed on pretty well, and I got this general purpose adapter for my sling, so it's actually shot pretty well. Again, I got lucky. The trigger pull is right underneath 4 pounds, so it's perfect. Some of my friends who have shot it said it's a very smooth shooting weapon, and again, like I said, I do have replacement trigger packs for it. I have one actual HK Navy lower that I'm trying to modify, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that nice crisp trigger pull as this one does, because it's got about 9 pounds or so, around 8 or 9. It's really hard, and there's no way you're going to get accuracy out of a trigger like that. So again, like I said, make sure you order a batch of these magazines and throw out any that got dents or other signs of problems, and then test fit them. The ones that fit real easily, go with those. The ones that fit a little tougher, well, you're going to have some that are just going to scrape a little bit, because even though the receiver used in the Cetme is the same receiver they put in their G3 versions that they came out with, which is the one I really wanted to buy, but they didn't have none were available at the gun store that I bought them at. They only had 2 of these left, so I picked up one of these because they were going quick. But essentially, it's still the same receiver on both guns. The only difference is, of course, the internals. The Cetme is the actual Spanish version, and bolt and carrier, and the other differences. And of course, the G3 has the actual HK G3 components inside, and a slightly different rear sight. The G3 had the dioptic rear sight, and this one has the flip sight, which I actually like, because you can just simply flip. It's easier to just flip a sight from between 2 to 4 than it is to sit there and try to turn that drum barrel and read the number. And of course, on the Cetme, the front sight is adjustable. If you look in the top, there's a hole right there in the top where you can actually put the tool in and adjust it. You can't do that with the G3 triple frame. So overall, I'm pretty pleased. For a black rifle, it's been a pretty decent project for me, and it really hasn't set me back that much economically. I have ordered some spare parts. I have gotten a replacement set of rollers, firing pin, spring, and I want to get an entire complete bolt replacement just to have a spare backup for it. Never know, things go to hell in a handbasket real fast. You need something you can grab and use right away, not all of a sudden have to be making modifications, or you'll be panicking, and you don't need that. You need gear you can grab and go. So Again, I'm going to take this one to the range. I haven't filmed any clips of me shooting this one in a long time. I had some, but I lost the footage, so I'm going to go shoot another one. Again, like I said, it shot really well with this red dot. Even out to almost 100 meters, I was still putting them in a man-sized target with no problem. So it's exactly what it's designed for. Deliver it actually using the peep sights. It's supposed to enable you to deliver accurate fire out to about 300 meters. So again, like I said, I'm quite pleased with it. Hey, stop that. It's folding up under here. Another thing I have to recommend to people is be very careful with your attachment here, because it's actually just soldered in, and this solder can break, and if it breaks, your triple frame is going to be loose and you're going to have to resolder it. But okay, as you can see here, that's just a solder that's holding in the sling pin in here, and it's what also keeps this firmly attached to the lower, or obviously to the barrel, and to the housing for the components for the bolt and carrier. But I haven't had any problems with it, so I've heard people saying that they've had the weld crack and then they have to go in there and just resolder it. But it's just solder. It's not a hard weld. You can actually get a brazing torch used for plumbing stuff and heat this up, and you'll be able to take out the pin there, should you decide to change triple frames, and then just slide your new triple frame on and rebraze it with some quality solder in there. I want to go look up the exact type that they use, so that way I don't want to just say use some plumbing solder. You want to get some type of certain combination of lead and other components, or if you can get an actual accurate solder, you want to use pretty close to what they used when they manufactured the weapon, so you won't have any problems. But like I said, I haven't had that happen, so it's shot very, very well, considering it doesn't exactly have the heaviest barrel, but I did notice that the barrel behind this section is a little heavier, and it just tapers off at the end. So the barrel actually is heavier throughout the actual, after it leaves the chamber. And of course, this one doesn't have the modification for a flash hider, but there are some bolt-ons you can get that sit on the barrel, and you tighten them with some Allen heads, or screws, just to give you that look if you really want it. But myself, I think anything like that will inadvertently probably affect your accuracy. So this thing shot it right at around 1 MOA with match ammunition, so I'm very happy with it. And like I said, the only thing I didn't get was I want to get some of the H&K used quick throw mounts that you can take off and put on, and it'll re-zero without having to go through all that nightmare of taking this one off and then putting another one on. So I'm going to look into that and see about getting that and test it out. But other than that, I mean, depends on what you're going to use it for. If you're going to use it for a long-range shooter, just put yourself a mil-dot reticle scope on their medium range and zero it in, and just make sure all your bolts are nice and snug and tight, and make sure you check the tightness on them, especially after you go shoot a good amount at the range, because they can work themselves loose. I found out more than once. So until the next clip, this is HK Fanatic, out.